For longtime viewers of the channel, you know I love Persona. I imported Persona 5 from Japan and covered it in a review before it even came to the West. That brings me to Persona 5 Scramble, the new spin-off Persona 5 game, although it's not a spin-off at all. Despite not being called Persona 5 2, it's essentially a follow-up to the original JRPG, only now with a new gameplay style. Atlus Japan recently released a demo for Persona 5 Scramble on both the Japanese Nintendo eShop and Japanese PlayStation Store. I also recently got a chance to play both of them on my Switch and my PS4 Pro, and I'm shocked by how much I love them. For background reference, I was never into the Dynasty Warriors series, although I did enjoy the Nintendo collaborations for Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors. Persona 5 Scramble feels way more like a balance of the two. Where Nintendo feels like a themed version of Dynasty Warriors, Persona 5 Scramble just feels like an action RPG Persona 5. Now, if you played Persona 5 before, you'll know how it ends and how things are left off. Well, Persona 5 Scramble takes place the summer after Persona 5's events, although it's still unclear if Scramble will connect with the new events in Persona 5 Royale, like the new characters for example. Regardless, this does take place timeline-wise after Persona 5, as we see Joker and Morgana coming back to Tokyo to see their friends during summer vacation. Everything feels fun and familiar. The streets of Tokyo are the same as they were in the original Persona 5 and translate surprisingly well over to the Nintendo Switch. Sure, things are scaled down for the Nintendo handheld, running everything at 720p 30 frames per second, though at a stable consistency. On PS4 Pro, that's bumped up to 1080p 60 or 4K 60 with the right display. The difference in quality is noticeable, though if you've been playing Persona for years now, the 30fps lock was the usual until recently, so it didn't feel as jarring as compared to something like a shooter running at 30fps compared to 60fps. After a day of reuniting with your friends, you head back to bed on Morgana's orders and quickly find yourself in the Velvet Room. However, if you've played Persona 5, you know the current status of the room and who the hosts are, and that's continued on with Scramble. After that night, we meet up with Ryuji and come across an idol in the middle of Shibuya holding a performance. She hands Joker one of her cards that we end up using to get into the metaverse, discovering a new world in the process. Where we explored the metaverse and palaces in Persona 5, in Scramble we now tackle jails. Jails are controlled by figureheads, normally a popular celebrity or a well-known person. They use the metaverse to gain influence on people. It's in our first jail that we meet Sophia, an AI left in the jail with no recollection of her memory, outside that she's a friend to humanity. Shockingly, she can summon her own persona, although maybe it's not that shocking if you played Persona 3. She helps you escape the jail and becomes a new ally that lives on your smartphone. That's as far as we can get with the story bits, but the other half of the attraction is the new action gameplay. This does feel somewhat like a Dynasty Warriors game where we're tackling waves of demons and shadows. During combat, we can switch between attacking with our blade or gun accessory. Like other Musou games, certain button combinations lead to new attacks and combos. There's a touch of Persona in the combat too. For example, we can land a critical or effective hit on an enemy, giving us a one more move. Just like in the original RPG, this lets us perform an all-out attack, landing some hefty damage on a large group of enemies. Furthermore, we have both an HP and SP gauge, the latter being used to perform skills. Like in the RPGs, these have elements attached to them and can lead to some effective hits and thus all-out attacks. Perhaps one of the more unique aspects of the combat is the new sense of swiftness. You see, we've seen the Phantom Thieves move wildly during combat and cutscenes, but we've only dealt with a turn-based combat system. In this new Musou game, Joker is able to jump on tall objects and then use them to perform combos on enemies. It feels like the Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop distance flow motion system, and I love it. Using it in combination with other combos and skills easily got me hooked onto this new action combat style. And playing during all this combat is a new remixed Last Surprise track which absolutely slaps. I love Persona 5's music and I would have never thought I'd like a modified version of those tracks, but Scramble has made me a believer. Persona 5 Scramble for all intents and purposes is Persona 5 2, or Part 2, and I believe it should be looked at as that. Persona 5 Scramble is something I was interested in before, but it wasn't until I played the demo this month that I'm convinced it's a game that should be played as a main story game, and not just another one of the spin-offs like Persona 4 Arena, Ultimax, and all the dancing games, despite them technically having a story after the main game. Either way, I'm excited to get my hands on the final game, and who knows, maybe I'll even cave and end up reviewing the Japanese version again too. I simply can't wait to play it again, and if you have a Japanese eShop or PlayStation account, I highly recommend you give it a shot.